back roads of Illinois. We were bringing you plastic for farming sources and information sponsored by AgriGold. This is the Markets Club podcast on a Monday afternoon. We were bringing you on the Planting Intention Report from USDA. We were joining us by Ed Usset from the University of Minnesota and Tyler Shau from agmarkets.net. Kyle Bumsted from Allendale Incorporated. Here's what happened with the Planting Intention Report with Ed Usset and Tyler Shau. Tyler Shau. We'll be talking about the Planting Intention Report from USDA on today. We were talking about that with Ed Usset from the University of Minnesota and Tyler Shau from agmarkets.net, then with Kyle Bumsted from Allendale Inc. on today's program. How are you guys on busy day today with the report?
Doing great, Caesar.
Same here.
You bet. Doing great.
I am going to be starting with Ed Usset from the University of Minnesota. Ed, what is your thoughts on the corn acreage for today's report? How is the reflection of the corn acreage in southern Minnesota? We saw the flooding from last year.
Well, Caesar, I was sort of dreading this report a little bit because I've been reading some recent history, and we've had some big moves following the Planting Intentions report. But the numbers, I think, came in fairly tame. The way the corn and soybean markets reacted, it seems to me that the market was expecting even more corn acres because it started lower and the report came out, we ended higher. And the opposite for soybeans, expecting fewer soybean acres because it started higher, the report came out, and soybeans ended lower. We had a pretty good range in both of them. I find it interesting that Minnesota has intentions to plant 8.6 million acres, which is not a record, but it's the second highest ever in our state, the highest being back in 2012. Soybean acres, 7 million acres, which is actually quite low. We were a little lower in 2019, but that was because of the wet year and the delayed planting. Stuff didn't get planted. But that's really our lowest soybean numbers other than 2019. We have to go back over a decade to get a smaller soybean planted number in Minnesota. Minnesota's reacting the way I thought they would. More corn, less soybeans.
How about you, Tyler? You're nearby Minnesota and North Dakota.
Same reaction as Ed had. Market kind of seemed like it had the acreage numbers for corn priced in, maybe slightly lower acres on beans that they were pricing in, and got just kind of got what we expected, or the average. Just felt like the market was expecting an even lower number on soybeans. As far as North Dakota goes, the one number that kind of maybe caught me off guard was pretty big reduction in spring wheat acreage. That's one of the Minnesota is one of the areas that actually picked up some spring wheat acres so over last year. But North Dakota, we're going to see a reduction in those acres, and most of that's going to corn and some other specialty crops.
Ed, how concerned about demand for the beans?
Oh, I think there should be a lot of concern about the beans. We're on the outs with the biggest market in the world, China. They're doing all they can to go elsewhere. And we've got a rapid expansion going on in the world of soybean crushing that sort of in skiing terms, we might be getting out over our skis in terms of how much soybean oil we hope to produce relative to the mandates and tax credits that are boosting soy oil demand for renewable diesel. It's going to be a tough couple of years as we work through some issues on the demand side of soybeans.
Kyle Bumsted, what is going to be the fundamentals from this corn acreage in 94 million acres in the Midwest?
I mean, the fundamental picture, we've known there's going to be a lot of corn acres since last September. And as I've been talking since last September, watch that November bean versus December corn. I mean, fundamentally, yeah, it's a lot of corn acres, but it's not shocking to see a big number like this. I mean, number one, the economics of it are with crop insurance, plant corn, because it guarantees more revenue, number one. Number two, I mean, it was just obvious there are going to be more corn acres. I mean, with this administration, we had a good idea this administration was going to be coming in here. I think that there's a lot of folks saying, no, we went through the beans, years ago. We're not going to do that again. And looking at things here, I mean, we've got decent demand for old crop corn, yes, but new crop corn is still a little bit of a concern here. We're sitting at a decent carry level, 13 cents carry from Dece to March right now, Dece 25 to March 26. So you really need to keep an eye on that. There's your fundamental picture right there moving forward. Here's what those spreads are doing here out back. That's how big a crop that the commercials are anticipating that we're going to have. So right now they're saying, yep, a lot of acres, and so far it looks like there's going to be a big crop. So fundamentals do look a little bit, I want to say, bearish moving forward here in corn.
But it's 95 million acres now. How is the technical aspects on the corn markets?
I mean, technically, we've been somewhat oversold here short term as far as old crop goes. We've been looking for something here to turn up, like folks been saying. Yeah, they probably priced it in here. December corn, yeah, it's oversold as well. Looking like it could be due for a bounce at any point in time here, but major support is down here on that 428 to 430 area. So technically we could go back down there and make a double bottom on this chart and then start to turn up. So from here on out, I mean, it looked to me like the report was maybe traded for about 15 minutes, and then we need to go start looking at weather. When we're going to get the planters in the ground here in the Midwest, that's what I'm more concerned about right now as far as the fundamental picture long term. It's all about early planting and when we get started.
What is your position on next week as well?
I mean, looking at the April crop report, I really don't think there's much there to really talk about. Corn, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of weather story there. Wheat, you're sitting in variable storage rate pricing period right now. You're at 100% full commercial carry in some of these wheat complexes. So, I mean, I really don't see where there's going to be much here fundamentally to spark this wheat market. Yeah, you might see some short covering, but if the commercials don't come along here and start buying it in the spreads, I don't really see a reason for wheat to rally much from here. Yeah, the funds are short, but that doesn't mean they can't go shorter. I mean, they always seem to sell new lows as opposed to buy new lows. So we do need to keep that in the back of our mind. Soybeans, yeah, we got a lot of time here with soybeans, but like Ed said, there's plenty of beans in the world. There's plenty of wheat in the world as well too. Corn, yeah, there's plenty of corn in the world, but I think what a lot of folks are kind of missing here is the demand side of things. And everybody says, well, there's less cattle, but we're feeding these cattle longer. We're putting more weight on these cattle. So we are still using corn out here in feed yard country. There's proof of that right out standing outside across the road from my place. We're turning these carcasses in, almost record weight on these carcasses or at record weight on these carcasses. So yeah, there might be less mouths at the bunk, but we're still feeding them longer and they're still taking up just as much corn as they have been. So there's something there I'm looking at as far as the feed and residual category.
How is the fundamentals on the cattle cow?
Well, fundamentally, like I said, we're feeding them heavier, and mostly that's because of the grinds. We haven't been killing the slaughter cows. However, slaughter cow pace did pick up here this last couple of weeks, so there's that. A lot of folks that had fall calvers, they're sorting those off, calling those off. And if you're a spring calver and you've you've pregged them or whatever, and there's opens, you're getting rid of those. Why feed a cow for another year when they're the price they are as far as cutters go? As far as the spreads go, we did here today see that there was some commercial selling going on here. I do think that the market technically does look like it's put in a top here on this June contract. And so that's what I'm a little bit concerned about here is a technical top here as far as on the charts go. We did have a decent close today. We closed it well over $1 off our lows, but we're still kind of hovering around this 203 area in this June live cattle contract. August feeders, that's the one that's going to be top step here shortly. April feeders, they've got just a few days left on those. May feeders, the open interest is leaving there and they're going to August. So it's going to be all about the grass calves right now based off that August contract. And a lot of folks are sitting on a lot of high dollar inventory right now and they haven't done anything about it. So that to me is a warning sign as well as far as fundamentals.
Tyler, do you recommend within the premium risk on the grains? When farmers are making a planting decision for right now?
Well, I think right now most farmers have made those decisions. Obviously that was baked into the planting intentions report. I don't think you're going to see a lot of adjustment based on economics at the moment. The only thing that could change those planting intentions or planting decisions is going to be weather as we move forward. And as right now, it looks like we're going to be kind of wet in the eastern corn belt and drier than normal in the western corn belt. So I would guess in the western corn belt, we see seeding go along as planned. Maybe you'll see some acreage changes as we move along throughout the spring in the eastern corn belt if it does stay as wet as currently forecast.
When is the deadline for crop insurance in North Dakota?
Man, you always ask me the hard questions. That's something I would have to look up, and I am currently driving.
How about in Minnesota and in Nebraska, Kyle?
Minnesota, I'm not sure of. I think crop insurance here in Nebraska, somewhere between the 10th and the 15th is where they start as far as your whatever planting date. But I do know a lot of corn and beans. If the ground's fit, it's going to be put in, and a lot of corn will be marked on whatever date they can start as far as insurance goes. So happens every year. You just get when the conditions are fit, they go, and that's what it is. So I don't think a date really matters to a lot of people in general.
I don't have the dates for Minnesota off the top of my head, but I have been traveling a little bit. Conditions are good. They're going to hit the ground running very soon.
Kyle, what is your final thoughts on this report?
Oh, final thoughts on the report. Nothing earth shattering. Like I said, they've been expecting more corn acres and the market's been pricing more corn acres. And I think technically we were sold off to a point where, yeah, they maybe priced in a bearish report and they got a little bit of a bullish, or, a little bit of a bullish reaction here today to a bearish report. I mean, you're still seeing the front loaded here. You're still seeing May gaining on the July. There's 6.5 cents carry there, so we need to watch that. And then, like I said, the D's 25 versus March 26, so folks need to watch that as far as there's your weather market right there. And for weather market in South America, keep watching that May-July spread here in the soybeans. And then also keep an eye on this bean market as well, too, that November 25 versus Jan 26. If they start building carry out there, yeah, we might have less acres, but they're still thinking either we're going to have a big cut in demand or we're going to have a bigger crop than anticipated.
Ed and Tyler, what is your thoughts as well?
This one's behind us, Caesar. This one was, frankly, in hindsight, kind of a big nothing. Now we look at actual plannings, and we look at the follow through on these tariff issues.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Wednesday is the big day of Liberation Day, or we find out what the new news is on tariffs moving forward. So. And then the way the world works today, we're probably already looking at the prospective planting report for 26 now, I think.
Yeah, we were thinking about next year. Thanks to you guys on today.
Thank you, Caesar.
Yep, thanks, Caesar. Have a good day.
We've been having a conversation with Ed Usset from the University of Minnesota and Tyler Shau from agmarkets.net, Kyle Bumsted from Allendale Inc on back roads of Illinois. All right. The report was coming out today at 11 from the Department of Agriculture. How was the trends for today's report? The grain stock quarterly report is bullish on the soybean demand. It's 190 bushel per acre for demand. For corn is down at 51 bushel per acre for demand. The acreage was a simple way to say that we expected to see more corn acres in the Midwest. Corn acreage is 95 million acres with 51 bushel per acre. Soybean acreage is 83 million acres with 190 bushel per acre. Thanks to Ed Usset from the University of Minnesota and Tyler Shau from agmarkets.net, Kyle Bumsted from Allendale Incorporated. This has been the Markets Club podcast. I'm Cesar Delgado. You have a great day.